लाइफ में लेना देना तो चलता रहता है। इधर फ्लेक्सी लोन से बोरो कर लिया और उधर बाय मॉम डैड का वेकेशन डन। शादी का डिसीजन लिया, फ्लेक्सी लोन से और बोरो किया। प्रमोशन मिला तो ये लो थोड़ा लोन वापस कर दिया। थैंक यू। नए इंटीरियर्स का डील किया, फ्लेक्सी लोन से फिर थोड़ा ले लिया। ईयर एंड बोनस मिला तो इस बार लोन ज्यादा वापस कर दिया। लाइफ में लेना देना चलता रहेगा तो लोन्स में क्यों नहीं। इसीलिए फ्लेक्सी लोन फ्रॉम बजाज फिनसर्व एक ऐसा लोन जो जब चाहे बोरो करें, जैसे चाहे रीपे करें, वो भी चुटकी में। थिंक इट डन विद बजाज फिनसर्व।
हेलो, हर सीजन के लिए नए इंटीरियर्स।
हाँ, वो भी हर रूम के लिए।
फ्रिज, स्मार्टफोन या बड़ा टीवी,
तीनों क्यों नहीं?
अरे ये तो शॉपिंग लिस्ट में नहीं था।
सो अब शॉपिंग कार्ट में तो है। सॉरी।
अच्छा, नए आउटफिट्स की विश लिस्ट।
विश क्यों? जस्ट ऐड टू कार्ट एंड बाय।
तो ये सब EMI पे,
और वो भी चुटकी में। On India's fastest growing EMI network. Think it done with Bajaj Finserv.
सर, अपनों को खुश रखना इससे आसान हो ही नहीं सकता। साहब, अपनों को खुश रखना इससे आसान हो ही नहीं सकता। हुजूर, अपनों को खुश रखना इससे आसान हो ही नहीं सकता।
अपनों को खुश रखना इससे आसान।
अपनों को खुशियां दिलाना आसान नहीं बनाते तो आगे कैसे बढ़ते। इसीलिए हम जो भी करते हैं उसे बेहतर बनाते आ रहे हैं, बनाते रहेंगे। बजाज फिनसर्व, थिंक इट डन।
माँ के बेडरूम का एसी या लेटेस्ट मोबाइल फॉर भाई, लेटेस्ट मोबाइल फॉर भाई, लेटेस्ट मोबाइल फॉर भाई। पुणे, पटना, चेन्नई, मथुरा या फिर बेगूसराय, या फिर बेगूसराय। नए घर के लिए चाहिए 4K टीवी हाई फाई, या फिर वाइफ को चाहिए लेटेस्ट स्टाइल। EMI है ना, EMI है ना, मॉड्यूलर किचन में पुराना फ्रिज क्यों है भाई?
शादी है नहीं, मैट्रेस पुराना है भाई। अक्खा इंडिया बोले भाई प्राइजेस है हाई। बेस्ट ही खरीदना है तो अपने EMI स्टोर पर आए।
EMI है ना,
अब काशी हो या वाशी, महंगा लगी तो EMI और बेस्ट ही चाहिए तो भी EMI, क्योंकि बजाज फिनसर्व का EMI है ना। विजिट www.emistore.com।
EMI है ना, EMI है ना,
धोखा है धोखा, धोखा ना खाओ जी। इंश्योरेंस फ्रॉड से बचना है बहुत जरूरी जी। वो एजेंट है या फ्रॉड पता लगाओ जी। एक्स्ट्रा ऑफर के झांसे में कहीं फंस ना जाओ जी।
अगर कोई अनजान कॉलर इंश्योरेंस पॉलिसी डिटेल्स मांगे तो कह देना उनको
मिलके स्कैम को एंड करो, हमेशा सेफ रहो जी।
Always verify the caller and do not surrender your insurance for attractive offers. हमेशा सावधान रहे, safe रहे. Issued in the interest of public awareness by Bajaj Finserv.
धोखा है धोखा, धोखा ना खाओ जी। जो होगा सो होगा ऐसे ना सोचो जी कॉल पे कोई पूछे ओटीपी दो ना जी
तो कह देना उनको
मिलके स्कैम को एंड करो हमेशा सेफ रहो जी
Being a hero is all about heart. It's not about ruling the world. It's about owning it. It's not about winning a race. It's about delivering a smile to the human race. It's about a spirit that just cannot be confined by geographies. It's about the heart that beats for the future and a soul that echoes the values of generations. And yet, being a hero is never about the hero. It's about the millions who celebrate them. Hero Motorcorp, the motorcycle leader. There's a gush of wind that hums a sweet song. There's a gush of wind that fights like a hero to fill the world with possibility. There's a gush of wind that jumps across oceans and mountains, embracing the entire planet. There's a gush of wind that blows away darkness. There's a gush of wind that blows for humanity. Because at Hero, we care.
In 1868, the Tata Group was founded on a philosophy that put the community at the heart of its existence. Today, we are $100 billion global enterprise. Our today has been built on enduring values. Our today is about delivering excellence across business sectors. Our today is about building a future-ready nation. Our today has a strong foundation with community at its core. Our today is dedicated to the communities we serve. Our today is always about more than just today. Our today is a continuous journey for a better tomorrow. Tata. Leadership with trust.
Behold, the story of victory, of life over malady. Behold the saga of power, of science over sickness. Behold the tale of triumph, of dedication over disease. Behold the rise and rise of Cadila Pharmaceuticals Limited, one of India's largest privately held pharmaceutical companies based out of Ahmedabad, Gujarat, India. Cadila Pharmaceuticals was born out of the vision of a legend who left an indelible mark in the chronicles of Indian pharmaceuticals industry. He was Indravadan Ambalal Modi, the founder chairman of the company, rightfully christened as the medicine man of India. His vision to alleviate pain of the underprivileged through research-driven innovations has been driving Cadila Pharmaceuticals for more than 6 decades now. Innovations which are backed by the key strengths of the company, the state-of-the-art manufacturing and research facilities. The flagship manufacturing facility at Dholka, Gujarat, sprawls over 100 acres. This avant-garde facility is US FDA approved, besides meeting most of the stringent quality standards across the globe. It manufactures tablets, capsules, injectables, liquids, and orals. The second formulations manufacturing facility is located at Samba in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. The API facilities at Ankleshwar, Gujarat, manufacture a large number of key APIs and intermediates at this US FDA and ISO 9002 and ISO 14001 accredited plant. The company also has set up its first ever overseas formulation manufacturing facility at Addis Ababa in Ethiopia. This world-class facility is the only WHO CGMP compliant manufacturing facility in the region. More than 850 products spread across 12 specialties with many of India's top brands in its basket. Great goals are defined by far-sighted vision and achieved by seamless teamwork. A multicultural, multilingual and multinational workforce of over 7,000 employees is truly the propelling power of the company. Not just in the domestic market, the company has a wide global footprint with over 1,000 marketing authorizations across 85 countries. Its international sales force of over 150 highly diversified and versatile personnel lends it an outreach that blankets the globe. As the company grows, so does its commitment to research. Manned by more than 350 scientists, the R&D facilities of Cadila Pharmaceuticals at Dholka, Gujarat is an institution of breakthrough innovations. To take the focus on innovation to the next level, it partners with leading international companies to discover newer treatments. The Cadila Pharmaceuticals Group is gigantic. Its group companies complement and expand the dynamic vision of the company across new avenues of healthcare and newer fast-paced business areas. Cadila Pharmaceuticals is a gentle giant. Decades of dedicated research, groundbreaking healthcare innovations, and worldwide impact proves the infinite potential of one powerful emotion. Care. The success of Cadila Pharmaceuticals bears testimony to the fact that the care continues.
आने वाले कल की दस्तक हमें सुनाई देती है, नई मंजिल है जिस ओर हमें वो दिशा दिखाई देती है। नए इंडिया का नया जोश, नए इंडिया का नया जोश, नए जोश से निकल पड़े हम, आने वाला कल होगा हमारा। नए इंडिया का नया जोश।
और नए इंडिया के सफर में टेक्नोलॉजी की शक्ति लेकर आपका भागीदार रहेगा रिलायंस। नए इंडिया का नया जोश।
लाइफ में लेना देना तो चलता रहता है। इधर फ्लेक्सी लोन से बोरो कर लिया और उधर बाय मॉम डैड का वेकेशन डन। शादी का डिसीजन लिया, फ्लेक्सी लोन से और बोरो किया। प्रमोशन मिला तो ये लो थोड़ा लोन वापस कर दिया। थैंक यू। नए इंटीरियर्स का डील किया, फ्लेक्सी लोन से फिर थोड़ा ले लिया। ईयर एंड बोनस मिला तो इस बार लोन ज्यादा वापस कर दिया। लाइफ में लेना देना चलता रहेगा तो लोन्स में क्यों नहीं। इसीलिए फ्लेक्सी लोन फ्रॉम बजाज फिनसर्व एक ऐसा लोन जो जब चाहे बोरो करे, जैसे चाहे रीपे करे, वो भी चुटकी में। थिंक इट डन विद बजाज फिनसर्व।
हेलो, हर सीजन के लिए नए इंटीरियर्स?
हाँ, वो भी हर रूम के लिए।
फ्रिज, स्मार्टफोन या बड़ा टीवी?
तीनों क्यों नहीं?
अरे ये तो शॉपिंग लिस्ट में नहीं था।
सो अब शॉपिंग कार्ट में तो है। सॉरी।
अच्छा, नए आउटफिट्स की विश लिस्ट।
विश क्यों? जस्ट ऐड टू कार्ट एंड बाय।
तो ये सब ईएमआई पे?
और वो भी चुटकी में। On India's fastest growing EMI network. Think it, done with Bajaj Finserv.
सर, अपनों को खुश रखना इससे आसान हो ही नहीं सकता। साहब, अपनों को खुश रखना इससे आसान हो ही नहीं सकता। हुजूर, अपनों को खुश रखना इससे आसान हो ही नहीं सकता।
अपनों को खुश रखना इससे आसान।
अपनों को खुशियां दिलाना आसान नहीं बनाते तो आगे कैसे बढ़ते। इसीलिए हम जो भी करते हैं उसे बेहतर बनाते आ रहे हैं, बनाते रहेंगे। बजाज फिनसर्व, थिंक इट, डन।
माँ के बेडरूम का एसी या लेटेस्ट मोबाइल फॉर भाई, लेटेस्ट मोबाइल फॉर भाई, लेटेस्ट मोबाइल फॉर भाई। पुणे, पटना, चेन्नई, मथुरा या फिर बेगूसराय,
या फिर बेगूसराय।
नए घर के लिए चाहिए 4K टीवी हाई फाई, या फिर वाइफ को चाहिए लेटेस्ट स्टाइल। EMI है ना, EMI है ना, EMI।
मॉड्यूलर किचन में पुराना फ्रिज क्यों है भाई?
शादी है नहीं, मैट्रेस पुराना है भाई। अक्खा इंडिया बोले भाई प्राइजेस है हाई, बेस्ट ही खरीदना है तो अपने EMI स्टोर पर आए।
EMI है ना, EMI।
अब काशी हो या वाशी, महंगा लगे तो EMI और बेस्ट ही चाहिए तो भी EMI, क्योंकि बजाज फिनसर्व का EMI है ना। विजिट www.emistore.com।
EMI है ना, EMI है ना, EMI।
नाची 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 नाची। धोखा है धोखा, धोखा ना खाओ जी। नाची 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 नाची। इंश्योरेंस फ्रॉड से बचना है बहुत जरूरी। नाची 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 नाची। वो एजेंट है या फ्रॉड, पता लगाओ जी। एक्स्ट्रा ऑफर के झांसे में कहीं फंस ना जाओ जी।
अगर कोई अनजान कॉलर इंश्योरेंस पॉलिसी डिटेल्स मांगे तो कह देना उनको।
नाची 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 नाची। मिलके स्कैम को एंड करो, हमेशा सेफ रहो जी।
Always verify the caller and do not surrender your insurance for attractive offers. हमेशा सावधान रहे, safe रहे. Issued in the interest of public awareness by Bajaj Finserv.
नाची 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 नाची। धोखा है धोखा, धोखा ना खाओ जी। नाची 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 नाची। जो होगा सो होगा, ऐसे ना सोचो जी। नाची 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 नाची। कॉल पे कोई पूछे OTP दो ना जी,
तो कह देना उनको।
नाची 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 नाची। मिलके स्कैम को एंड करो, हमेशा सेफ रहो जी।
Being a hero is all about heart. It's not about ruling the world. It's about owning it. It's not about winning a race. It's about delivering a smile to the human race. It's about a spirit that just cannot be confined by geographies.
Mr. Don Duke Kong from Vietnam Chamber. Salvatore, do we have only here?
I think he's yet to log in. We are following up with Mr. Budhia.
We can wait for a minute or so, something.
2 minutes, sir. 2 minutes.
Okay.
I see Vice Minister Dong has joined. Vice Minister Chanjvi Dong has joined. Vice Minister Do Thang Hai has joined.
We have been told we'll have their recorded message.
Okay.
From both the vice ministers, but otherwise all others are with us.
They are at the moment with my chairman of the National Assembly at a round table with the leading CEO of Korean business group in Seoul. So I think that they cannot join virtually live. So they will send their recorded speeches.
Okay.
So, Mr. Budhia, with your permission, I will start this morning's session.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome to each one of you to the second day of the CII Partnership Summit 2021. We are now on for a very, very special session on India and Vietnam, opportunities for business collaborations. We have an excellent panel here with a few recorded messages as well, and I'm sure you're going to find the session very, very interesting. Our moderator and chair for this session is Mr. Sanjay Budhia, co-chairman CII National Committee on Exim and MD Pattern International Limited. May I request you, Mr. Budhia, to kindly take the session forward and moderate it. Thank you. I think you're on mute, Mr. Budhia. Yeah. We can't hear you. We can't hear you. Mr. Budhia, you need to unmute yourself. Yeah, now we can hear you.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So, His Excellency Mr. Pham San Chau, Ambassador of Vietnam to India, His Excellency Dr. Madan Mohan Sethi, Consul General of India in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam, Mr. Don Duc Quang, Vice Chairman of Vietnam Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mr. Anuj Kekar, President and Executive Director, AppTech Limited, Mr. Santanu Srivastav, Managing Director and CEO and Chairman, Isan Foundation, Mr. Indranil Sengupta, Co-Founder and CEO in Vesify Company Limited. And we also have recorded messages from Mr. Do Thang Hai, Vice Minister of Industry and Trade, and from Mr. Tran Du Dong, Vice Minister of Planning and Investment. A very good morning to all of you joining from across the world. I would like to extend a very warm welcome to everyone joining the 27th edition of the CII Partnership Summit and to this country session on Vietnam. At this 27th edition of the Partnership Summit, it is our privilege to be joined by close to 200 speakers from more than 40 countries, which include 20 overseas ministers, 7 Indian ministers, 25 global CEOs, and more than 100 heads of institutions, leaders, experts from around the world. With a shared vision for economic prosperity and a strong history of trade ties, India's economic relationship with Vietnam has made great strides over the past few years in trade and business cooperation. The bilateral ties have deepened through the years with several high-level exchanges that include visits of the Vietnamese President and Prime Minister to India in 2018. And of course, thereafter, we all have gone through 2 years of COVID, so life was at a standstill. In December 2020, the Prime Ministers of both countries in a virtual summit set in motion the India-Vietnam joint vision for peace, prosperity, and people. Both India and Vietnam are home to rapidly growing markets that offer immense opportunities for enhancing bilateral trade and investment. India-Vietnam bilateral trade stood at over $10 billion in 2020, with India ranking 8th in the list of top exporting nations to Vietnam. For expanding trade and investments, Indo-Vietnam cooperation needs to be strengthened and a strategic plan must be formulated to increase business-to-business linkages in identified sectors. I will briefly mention some salient points. Number one, building regional supply chains for deeper regional integration should be of high priority. Number two, augmenting logistics. Infrastructure connectivity needs to be emphasized. The heightened degree of volatility witnessed in the global trade environment has pushed businesses into diversifying their supply chains away from different countries, which has increased the importance of India-Vietnam trade route for international businesses. Accelerating MSME growth through global linkages is critical. Number four, expanding healthcare cooperation is an imperative. As a strong player in pharmaceutical manufacturing, India is a leading exporter to both Vietnam and the world. This sector is likely to see continuing growth and cooperation must be stepped up. Number five, creating energy partnerships must be a focus area. India and Vietnam had signed an MOU at the India-Vietnam Virtual Summit to promote exchange of knowledge, best practices, and information, and to explore new business opportunities in the field of solar energy with the aim to bridge the gap between Indian and Vietnamese solar companies. Finally, cooperation in disruptive technologies and digitization is a must. On the digital payment front, India could share its experiences in creating an integrated system with a unified interface that could be hugely beneficial, as it will allow seamless transfer of funds across borders, incentivize innovations in payment systems, and in the bargain enable fintech companies to expand their scale and operations. On the trade front, India can leverage digital cooperation mechanisms to engage through digital economic partnership agreements with Vietnam, as this will help and facilitate seamless end-to-end digital trade, enable trusted data flows, and build trusted digital systems. Through end-to-end digital trade, business can look forward improved efficiencies and reduced costs. I'm very happy to also say that Mr. Gautam Mukhopadhyay, former ambassador to Vietnam, has also joined us. Warm welcome, Mr. Mukhopadhyay, and we'll be really benefited with your presence and, of course, with your valued insight.
Thank you, Mr. Lee.
With this, I would like to conclude my opening remarks, and we are really looking forward to the insights from the excellencies and distinguished speakers. And time permitting, of course, we'll have some question answer or observations from the panel and also from our distinguished listeners from across the world. Thank you all once again for your kind participation. Now it is my privilege to invite His Excellency Dr. Madan Mohan Sethi, Consul General of India in Ho Chi Minh City, to address the great room. Excellency Dr. Madan Mohan Sethi, please.
So good morning to all of you. His Excellency Ambassador Pham San Chau, Mr. Sanjay Budhia, Vice Chairman of VCCI, Vice Minister of Industry and Trade, Vice Minister of Planning and Investment, Mr. Anuj Kakar, Mr. Santanu Srivastava, Mr. Indranil Sengupta, and my dear Ambassador in Myanmar, Gautam sir. So first of all, I want to extend my sincere thanks to CII to host this important business meeting today between India and Vietnam. I hope today's deliberation will share on opportunities to do business and partnership between the business community of both sides. I'll speak mostly from my experience of last 15 months, and I'll come to our relationship also. I'm here in Vietnam for last 15 months, and my observation on Vietnam is it's on a rapid spree of development and growth. The country showed its resilience in 2020 in spite of the COVID crisis. And the country offers lots of opportunities for our people on both sides to take advantage of in different business spheres. Apart from safety, security, and political stability, a young skilled workforce, low-cost labor, and easy-to-train workforce has made Vietnam as an important business and investment destination for foreign players. It's a country, apart from New Zealand, which succeeded in preventing spread of COVID-19 in year 2020 and was the only country in ASEAN to register a positive growth of 1.9% in 2020. This year also, in spite of the COVID pandemic, we started in Vietnam from April onwards. The country is expected to achieve 2.1% growth. On the first day of December, Vietnam touched a trade value of 600 billion US dollar. The country by the end of October had clocked export of 269 billion and import of 269 billion US dollar. After the relaxation of the pandemic measures from 1st October 2021, production and supply chains are slowly reverting back to the pre-pandemic level. The domestic industries in Vietnam, if we speak about the strength, they have in food processing, they're in agro products, they're in fishery, they're in plastics, textiles, leather, infrastructure, wood, etc. While the foreign investment companies in Vietnam, they dominate the technology product sector like electronics, mobile phones, computer hardware products, and IT. The country has, Vietnam as such, has emerged as one of the important producer and exporter of food products in rice, tea, coffee, rubber, cashew, fish, and fruits in recent times. Vietnam has good number of sea and riverine ports, more than 100, supported with a fantastic road infrastructure along with air connectivity, has made the interprovincial travel very easy. All provinces, about 64 in number, are in rapid development and in growth frame. This also gets supported by the announcement of big infrastructure projects by the central government. The central government of Vietnam, in recent times, they have announced billion-dollar projects in infrastructure and creation of energy grids. There is also plan to build a 250,000 DWT handling port in Cà Mau province under the jurisdiction of the post. I myself have visited some of the industrial projects in Ho Chi Minh City and neighboring province, which provide all the required necessities to industries, to our industry, if they want to explore investment here. So the recent plan also by the Vietnam government to create more stay homes for laborers and workers in coming days will definitely add more value to increase the productivity level in Vietnam itself. Vietnam, as we know, they have three active industrial economic regions. The southern region, where the post is situated, it contributes about 50%. Receives about 50% of the FDI, while it contributes about 40% to the whole export basket. And the other regions, like the central region and northern key economic regions, they have their own strength also. More than 16,000 foreign and domestic industries work from the industrial zones across Vietnam. In north, Hanoi and Haiphong are important industrial bases, while in central region, Da Nang has emerged as an industrial hub. Apart from industries, I also like to tell that Vietnam has good number of universities, engineering facilities, which produce very quality graduates for use of different industries. During my interaction with the provincial leaders, almost 29 provinces are under my jurisdiction. I found most of the provincial leaders are very keen to facilitate foreign businesses to Vietnam. All parts of the country are seamlessly connected, so distance from port or airport is not an issue. To add strong logistic infrastructure, which is also developing day-to-day basis. Vietnam has seen larger role of private sector since the promulgation of Land, Estate and Enterprise Law in 2005. Currently, the country has about 7 lakh business units. More than 99% are in private sectors. And this private sector contribute to 77% of the GDP of the country. Currently, the GDP is about 300 billion in 2020, and it is soon expected to reach US dollar 350 billion by next year. So the country also received very good size of FDI, about 28.53 billion in 2020, in about 2,500 new business entities in sector of manufacturing and processing. So under the new industrial policy, which Vietnam has already announced, Vietnam is planning to improve its manufacturing and processing sector to contribute 40% of its GDP by 2030. As part of that, the government is also creating more and more better infrastructure, developing business-friendly environment and skills of the workforce. And Vietnam is expected to become one of the top 3 manufacturing countries by 2030 among the ASEAN countries. On the relationship, I like to comment that both India and Vietnam enjoy very strong friendship and cordiality. Our relationship goes back to thousands of years of civilizational contacts. As Indians, will be surprised to see the number of Hindu artifacts discovered at present throughout the length and breadth of the country. Both sides upgraded their relationship in 2016 to comprehensive strategic partnership. Prime Minister Modi visited Vietnam in 2016, and in a recent meeting held in December 2020, both the sides they put forward a joint vision for peace and prosperity, which is going to guide our future collaboration and engagements. Here also, I like to share that the early founders of both countries had very cordial and friendly relationship. India's assistance in different phases of history is still fondly spoken by the Vietnamese leaders. The immediate visit of a delegation led by Chairman of the National Assembly tomorrow to India will be another significant engagement to strengthen our relationship. Vietnam, as we all know, is an important component of India's Act East policy and our Indo-Pacific initiative. At international forum also, both countries have similar stand on most of the issues. Our cooperation with Vietnam extends from traditional areas to strategic area of defense and training. In Vietnam, we have successfully executed 37 quick impact projects, each worth of $50,000 in 33 provinces of Vietnam from the period 2015 onwards. We have also done 7 grants in assistance projects for benefit of the Cham community in Ninh province, which were completed in December 2020 with an outlay of 1.54 million. We have projects, all these projects. We do infrastructure projects like construction of school, kindergarten, classrooms, building of community halls, bridges, roads, agriculture infrastructure, water conservations. And these have been appreciated at the highest level by the Vietnam leaders. This also shows our commitment to develop the local community. Vietnam was one of the countries who immediately mobilized emergency resource in the form of oxygen cylinders, respirators, when India faced the COVID crisis during this year in June. The assistance was quite timely and it was substantial. On trade and commerce front, as Mr. Budhia spoke, actually, both sides understand the importance of potential in upping the trade volume and value also. The bilateral trade between India and Vietnam has increased from 200 million US dollar in 2002, US 12.04 billion in 2019. Last year, in spite of the COVID crisis and issues in logistics, the trade stood at a healthy level of US dollar 10.04 billion. This year till October, it has already touched US 10.9 billion USD. The key export products from India to Vietnam include meat, fish, oilseeds, animal fodders, organic chemicals, pharmaceuticals, plastic, raw hides, chemicals, cottons, steel, boilers, electrical machines, auto components. While we also buy from Vietnam mostly electrical machinery, equipments, computer hardware, and chemicals, and copper and articles thereof. We also buy coffee, tea, canned food, building materials, pharmaceutical products, and some rubber products from Vietnam. The COVID situation and the disruption to logistics and supply chain has affected the trade up to a certain extent. On the investment side, our investment of 991.76 million in 315 projects in Vietnam is not so substantial when compared to the investment made by other countries. Here I see opportunities in the sector of machinery, food processing, aqua products, textiles, leather, automotive sector, in addition to sectors like energy, mineral exploration, IT and automobiles, sugar, tea, coffee, agro products, where already the Indian companies have invested. So these are the areas where Indian companies can definitely look for investment in Vietnam. As I told you, apart from the supporting other factors which Vietnam provides to foreign investors, to foreign businesses, lots of tax concessions have been also announced by Vietnam government for foreign players. And the free trade agreements which Vietnam has signed with many countries, perhaps 14 into numbers, will definitely help Vietnam to go up in the value chain and supply chain. And it will become one of the key important manufacturing country of the world in coming days. So here, the COVID situation has literally altered the way of our engagement in all aspects of human life, including business. The countries are all adopting digitalization in a quick way to overcome the deficit. This is also an area where our IT companies can explore partnership and investment in Vietnam. Currently, there is a large Indian community of more than 6,000 people in whole of Vietnam, a large chunk staying in Ho Chi Minh City. We can utilize our Indian community resource to further our engagements with Vietnamese businesses. The mission and the consulate are literally working on a day-to-day on or hosting business meetings in different products and sectors. More than 70 business meetings have been hosted jointly by both Indian consulate and the mission in the last 1 year. Both are also trying to bring people in other sectors like tourism, education, healthcare to discuss and explore opportunities for partnership. So here we'll be happy to work with state level chambers, sector specific associations under CII guidance to arrange online meetings, physical meetings once the international travel is allowed and COVID is lessened. Recently also the state government of Kerala came forward to explore partnership with one of the important provinces of Vietnam in area of fishery apart from other areas on which the post is now working. The last point I want to tell that Vietnam is just at a distance of 4 hours from Indian cities. And here the cities all provide the same benefits, same facilities like Indian cities. We have to catch up with the lost interactions due to COVID situation. I would also like to request CII to plan multiple interactions at our state level with different provinces of Vietnam, on which I have received repeated requests from the Vietnamese side. I see there are opportunities in Vietnam for our young entrepreneurs and big industry players. Here also, I like to suggest CII to plan for an annual business summit, which can be organized alternatively in commercial cities of both the countries. It can be hosted for a period of 2 to 3 days in multiple sectors with participation of 5 to 10 key states or provinces of Vietnam. Vietnam Chamber of Commerce, BCCI, which is present here, is also requested to explore the suggestion. So finally, I like to extend my appreciation to CII for taking this important initiative. Let this business summit can be an annual event which you can host alternatively in India and Vietnam. Thank you all of you. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Excellency Dr. Sethi. You have really given the tremendous opportunities what the relationship between India and Vietnam offers, and also your generous hand to support that and to handle the relationship going forward. And of course, from CII, definitely it will be our pleasure to take what you have rightly suggested, to have annual summits alternatively in different cities and also in Vietnam and India. With this, I would now request His Excellency Mr. Pham San Chau, Ambassador of Vietnam to India, for his valued insight, please.
A very warm good morning to all of you. Mr. Bhutia, Co-Chairman, CII National Committee on Exim, Dr. Madan Mohan Sethi, Consul General of India to Ho Chi Minh City, Mr. Dao Duy Khương, Vice Chairman of VCCI, President Kache, my friend Srivadas Satanu, and my friend Hindodri, dear participants. I would like to begin by expressing my sincere thanks to CII for organizing this Vietnam country for focused attention. And I also would like to congratulate CII for this excellent partnership summit, which is a flagship of CII. The Embassy of Vietnam has been working very closely with CII over the past 3-4 years in organizing a lot of events. And at this event, I would like to thank my previous speaker, Dr. Sethi, for covering very comprehensively the picture of the relationship between Vietnam and India. Therefore, I would like just to take 2 points. The first point is about the relevance of today's discussion. And the second point, what is the way forward and the focus we need to draw our attention to. Firstly, today is very relevant because, number one, the pandemic is continue to causing tremendous impact to us, and we need to find a way to address the bad consequences of this pandemic. And it is no other better way than we need to continue to forge our collaboration. And through this pandemic, we are able to identify the new area of cooperation between the two countries. So this is the good side of the pandemic. That's number one. Number two, it is a critical moment for our bilateral relations. This year, we just review the 5 years comprehensive strategic partnership of the two countries. And we are looking forward to next year, 2022, where we are going to celebrate the 50th anniversary of our diplomatic relations. At the same time, India is going to celebrate its 75th anniversary of its independence. It is a very good coincidence. The third point is that our chairman of the National Assembly is going to visit to India tomorrow. So this is the biggest ever delegation that a leader of Vietnam has ever taken. He will travel to India with 2 airplanes and 300 people altogether, out of which 170 businessmen. And he comes at the very right moment because he's the first dignitary of the new administration of Vietnam. And he comes after 4 years of absence of political interactions at the summit level. Therefore, we have very high expectation for him to address the business community in India, organized jointly between the embassy and CCII at the Lila Palace Hotel on the 17th, on the theme of Vietnam-India Business Forum, The Ways Ahead. So we are very much looking forward to that. So in terms of the momentum, the timing, it is very good for us to reactivate our bilateral relations. That's number one I want to stress. Now, number two, what is the new developments of the past few years and what are the ways ahead? If, like Mr. Sethi, the Consul General, I also observed the growth of our bilateral relations in terms of economic, trade, and tourism. And what I found out that at the moment, there are a number of characteristics. The first one is that over the past nearly 1 decade, Vietnam already enjoys surplus in trade. And this year, for the first time, after many, many years, after the 3 quarters, Vietnam enjoy a deficit. I mean, India enjoys surplus of 750 million US dollars. So it means that there are a lot of room for further growth in our trade relations, especially from India to Vietnam, because basically India has a lot of deficit with other countries, particularly with China, which goes up to 56 billion US dollars. So this is also, I think it's also a good thing because we are moving towards a more balanced trade between the two countries. And in terms of trade, the speed also increased in spite of the pandemic. We see an increase of 28% in our trade, the trade between the two countries. So this is a significant development. And it means that we can continue to grow on that. That is number one on trade. Number two, we also observed a movement, I don't call a wave yet, but a movement of intention of big companies of India who want to invest in Vietnam. So I have met different CEO and founder and MD of Andani, of ESSA, of HCL, ONGC. I mean, all these big companies, our chairman will meet their promoter. And all express their keen interest in investing in Vietnam in different areas, energy, seaport, airport, I mean, it's pharmaceutical, in a wide range of activities. So I have the feeling that we have been able to awake the giant, a big giant of India. Economically. So this is a very, very, very important because those companies, they have invested in Dubai, in Australia, in Indonesia, in different parts of the world. And now some of them have never been to Vietnam, to my surprise. And now they say that, oh, I like Vietnam, I want to explore, things like that. So truly, Vietnam is emerging on the map of potential investment for India. And number three, in terms of tourism, we've been able to set up a direct flight operated by Vietjet and Indigo between the two capitals, and Delhi and Ho Chi Minh City. And there's a very high expectation of both sides Vietnamese visitors and Indian visitors to see each other. If you look back and see the relationship between Vietnam and India, you have to agree that over the past few years, a better mutual understanding between our two people, our two nations have reached a very high level. And we have a better or more genuine understanding of each other. Of course, it's thanks to the efforts of all parties concerned, thanks to our public diplomacy, respectively, thanks to the PR, thanks to the wedding organized in India, wedding organized in Vietnam, thanks to the movie of India, but also thanks to all the efforts we promote both sides, India and Vietnam. So this is the three phenomenon, as I agree, that will mark the new stage of development economically, trade-wise and investment-wise between the two countries. And my third point, which is also the final point, is that I think that there is a new area of cooperation between the two countries. That new area, for instance, pharmaceutical, we never seen such a high level of trade between the two countries in terms of pharmaceutical products. We purchase a lot of remdesivir, molnupiravir. We also export, and we will have a 15 MOU to be signed during the next visit after the day after tomorrow. Basically, on purchase of API, active pharmaceutical ingredients, to produce and to produce from India and to make drugs in Vietnam, to make a formulation in Vietnam. And there is a huge concern and interest to set a pharma park in Vietnam. So this is a very, very big development. The second area, which is also new for us, is in area of technology. My previous speaker mentioned about digital, the chairman just mentioned about digital trade. Yes, India is a very highly digitalized country. So this is the lesson for Vietnam to learn. And the most important MOU that is going to be signed during the visit to India by our chairman of the National Assembly is the cooperation between the two libraries of the two parliaments on the digitalization of all the archives of the two institutions. This is the first step in a long journey toward the digital India and digital Vietnam. So these things, I think that we can learn a great tool. And a lot of companies would like to, on the other, also a very encouraging side, want to invest back into India. We just see Vietnamese investment basically in Laos, Cambodia, and Myanmar, and very less in Russia, given our strong relationship in the past with the former Soviet Union. But now we may see a keen interest of Vietnamese business in doing business in India. At PT, I have visited their offices and their center in Hyderabad. I also see some company interested in making steel list in Gujarat, and some company in Vietnam expressed also their keen interest in investing in a pharmaceutical in Bangalore. So this is also a reverse situation of one-way investment from India to Vietnam. So having said that, I want to underline a number of these new developments, and I hope that this is a momentum for us and should not miss it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Excellency. And you have rightly said that this is the moment for strengthening and deepening the relationship between our two countries. And it's a very welcome news about the big delegation coming from Vietnam. And as you have rightly said, both trade and tourism and different sectors which you have emphasized again, like pharma and digitization, where both countries can particularly take care and take it forward very fast track. Now I would request Mr. Don Du Thong, Vice Chairman of Vietnam Chamber of Commerce and Industry, for his deliberation, please.
Okay, thank you. So, dear Mr. Pham Sanh Châu, Ambassador of Vietnam to India, Dr. Madam Mohan Sethi, Consul General of India in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very happy to be a part of today's summit. I think that is a very important event for the two countries to move forward during the difficult time of the pandemic. I would like to present 2 points. The first one, I would like to come up with the kind of problems associated with the pandemic in Vietnam, and then I would like to present the ways we go forward to overcome what we are facing now regarding pandemic. Now, firstly, as we all know, the COVID-19 pandemic in Vietnam is part of ongoing global pandemic. It causes a lot of impacts on the Vietnamese economy as well as the Vietnamese business community. Unemployment impacts on some kind of industries like transportation, logistics, tourism, education, textiles, and electronics, and so on and so forth. And in Vietnam, as you may know, ladies and gentlemen, we have applied many measures to cope with the pandemic, like policies like isolation and quarantines, testing, treatment, field hospital, drug and vaccine development. And I think that in terms of drug and vaccine development, we also looking towards to cooperate with India. The country is very strong with the drug and vaccine. And also we conduct the vaccination program in the country. However, as you may know, that the Vietnamese business community has been still facing some major difficulties. That is, social distancing leading to market disruption is the most difficult thing for current businesses. Tightening the movement of workers, production cannot take place normally. The supply chains is broken, and so on and so forth. It leads to the business difficulties, especially business bankruptcy, and a record quarterly drop in gross domestic product. So you see that, you know, in Vietnam, like in many countries in the world, we are facing a lot of difficulties associated with the pandemic, you know, and especially the Vietnamese community, we have a lot of problems, you know, and so now the question is how we can cooperate and move forward. Or in other words, how are the ways to overcome the difficulties in time to come? And now, secondly, I would like to present about the ways to overcome. So as you may know, ladies and gentlemen, as a result, Vietnam is moving from living in zero COVID-19 to live safely with the COVID. Vietnam nowadays, we are losing a strict nearly 3 months lockdown in Ho Chi Minh City. The easing of constraints on movement, factory work, and other activities in Vietnam business capital follows the decision by the country leaders to scrap the zero COVID strategy in favor of more flexible approach. You see that, you know, the kind of very strict zero COVID-19 caused a lot of problems. And also our businesses, we have problems associated with bankruptcy or living out and teacher unemployment along with that, you know. So we have to move to the more flexible approach. And also the stimulus policy along with the support from the international communities, including India, is very important to Vietnam. I would like to take this opportunity to thank Indian people, also Indian government for their support to Vietnam during the pandemic time. And thus once again proof that the Vietnam-India comprehensive strategic partnership is growing well and achieving high efficiency and reliability as next year, 2022, the two countries, we celebrate the 50th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations, you know. So next year is a very big time for the two countries to celebrate our bilateral cooperation, you know. And we hope we enjoy a lot of common activities to celebrate the event. And I also think that, you know, in that context, our businesses, we need to actively improve our capacity in order to improve efficiency and resilience to all the kind of difficulties. I think that digital transformation is required. We need to apply the kind of the advancement of new tech like e-commerce, or we can apply the artificial intelligence for manufacturing to improve the quality of our products. Also in banking and finance, we need to apply more the IT in terms of develop internet banking, so we can have to take advantage of digital technology to improve our capacity and also to overcome the kind of the pandemic. And come back to our cooperation. I think that also our ambassador, Mr. Pham Sanh Chau, also mentioned a lot of areas we can cooperate even during the pandemic time. I think that is promising for our economic cooperation. Cooperation areas like drug and vaccine development. I think that is very important for our countries, for our businesses to cooperate, because not just for only the health of our people, but also for the kind of measures we can overcome that kind of the pandemic. Also, logistics. I think that taking the fact that the world now moving to open world. And also we're talking about not only Pacific cooperation, but also Indo-Pacific cooperation. And I think that logistics is very important because it's a time to come, the trade and investment between the two regions, Indian Ocean and also Pacific Ocean, will be developed. So I think that logistics is a key for us to cooperate. As India and Vietnam, we are located in a very strategic location in the region, and direct flights, as mentioned, our ambassador, Mr. Pham Sanh Chau, now is open for us, and I think it's a very good step for us to improve the logistic cooperation between the two countries. And tourism, of course, you are Indian people, we are Vietnamese people, we are Buddhism, and Buddhism originated from India, from your country. And Vietnam, we like normal Vietnamese people. Our dreams that, once in our life, we can visit the country like India, where originated the kind of religion, Buddhism. So it's very interesting. Besides, we can do trading and investment together. Also, smart cities, high tech, I also know that, your Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, he also launched the very ambitious program associated with smart cities in India, and Vietnam nowadays also is also development of that kind of initiative, I think that the experiences you have in India in terms of developing smart cities, we can cooperate in time to come in developing the smart cities in Vietnam and so on and so forth. So, ladies and gentlemen, although the pandemic has heavily disrupted the country's economy, Vietnam's GDP growth rate still remains one of the highest in the Asia-Pacific region at nearly 3%. And in 2020, so the last year, and now it's projected it may increase to 3.8% in 2021. So we are very optimistic, even despite the pandemic. We also very optimistic about our development of our economy. So as the representatives of the Vietnamese business community, VCCI, Vietnam Chamber of Commerce and Industry, we will make our efforts in cooperation with Indian organizations, especially with Confederation of Indian Industries, to continuously bring a lot of useful market information as well as new business opportunities to the business community of the two countries in various sectors. So I think that, in the good time or in the difficult time, I think that cooperation is the key for us to move forward. So we look towards to cooperate with all of you, Indian people, Indian business cooperation and association, so that we can can make things better. So again, finally, I wish we all good health and wish the summit a great success. And thank you very much for your attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Don Dung Pong. And as you rightly said, we need to cooperate and we need to collaborate both in good times and bad times, and more particularly for bad times. We value our relationship, and with your active engagement between Vietnam Chamber of Commerce and Industry and CII definitely will play its role in forging and taking forward the relationship between the two countries. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, now we have a recorded message from Sri Do Thang Hai, Honorable Vice Minister of Industry and Trade of Vietnam. Can I request Sogato to kindly play the recorded message?
Leaders of the Ministry of Commerce and Industry of India, the Confederation of Indian Industry, representative of Vietnam's Embassy in India, leaders of relevant ministries and departments of Vietnam and India, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, on behalf of the Ministry of Industry and Trade of Vietnam, I would like to extend my appreciation to the Trade Office of the Embassy of Vietnam in India and the Confederation of Indian Industry, CII, for hosting today's forum theme focused on Vietnam. This event has substantial meaning, and it is held right before the state visit of the Chairman of the National Assembly of Vietnam, Vương Đình Huệ, to India, and is among many important activities carried out by both countries to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Vietnam-India diplomatic relations, the 7th January 1972, the 7th January 2022. Ladies and gentlemen, within the Vietnam-India Comprehensive Strategic Partnership, economic and trade cooperation has always been an area of great importance and achievements. In terms of trade, India has become one of the 10 largest trading partners of Vietnam and is Vietnam's leading economic partner in South Asia. Meanwhile, for India, Vietnam is the 17th largest trading partner globally and the 4th largest within Asian countries. During the past years, bilateral trade between Vietnam and India has witnessed positive growth. Specifically, two-way trade has increased nearly 4 times within 10 years, from $2.7 billion in 2010 to $9.6 billion in 2020, with an average annual growth rate of nearly 60%. Despite the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, trade between the two countries in 2021 had gradually recovered and regained strong growth momentum. In the first 10 months of the 2021, Vietnam-India trade saw a significant increase of nearly 40% year-on-year, reaching $11 billion. This figure is expected to reach a record high of over $12 billion for the entire year, thus bringing our two-way trade closer to the target of $15 billion set by leaders of the two countries. In terms of investment, India currently has 315 valid FDI projects in Vietnam with a total invested capital of nearly $1 billion, ranking 26 out of 141 countries and territories investing in Vietnam. Many large Indian corporations and companies have established their presence in Vietnam, investing in various sectors, especially the processing and manufacturing industry. Indian investment projects in Vietnam not only contribute to the development of each sector, but also the socio-economic development of Vietnam. These are impressive and meaningful achievements to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the diplomatic relation between Vietnam and India in 2022, and at the same time, a testament to the strong efforts of the two governments is promoting bilateral economic and trade cooperation, especially when both economies are facing tremendous difficulties due to the COVID-19 pandemic. On this occasion, I also appreciate the great contribution of the business communities and the strong adaptability of the businesses of the two countries to the new context. The flexibility and the companionship of the businesses have contributed immensely to the positive result in economic and trade cooperation between Vietnam and India. Ladies and gentlemen, in a volatile world where opportunities and challenges intertwine, the emergence of the COVID-19 pandemic is an unprecedented factor that affects all aspects of human life, each country's economy, and the global economy as a whole. Therefore, during this difficult time, we need to cooperate even more closely, create as many favorable conditions as possible for the bilateral economic trade cooperation to help the business communities of the two countries overcome hardship and challenges brought about by the pandemic. Moreover, Vietnam and India have a lot of potential and advantages that have not been fully utilized for further economic and trade development. In terms of trade, agricultural and fishery products are areas with a lot of potential and cooperation in which Vietnam and India can complement each other. Vietnam is hoping to boost exports to agricultural and aquatic products, including processed fruits, fresh food, tea, coffee, spices, cereal and nuts, cereal products, pangasius, basa fish, etc. These products are suitable for the consumption demand of Indian consumers and can serve as inputs for India businesses processing and exporting activities. In order to promote trade cooperation in agricultural and fishery products, the two sides need to closely coordinate to speed up market opening procedures, firstly for commodities whose technical documents for import negotiation have been submitted, such as Authorium, grapes, millets, pomegranates of India, and longans, pomelos, rambutans, and durians of Vietnam. This also exists room for further bilateral cooperation in industrial fields, such as pharmaceuticals, textiles, leather, and footwear, and food processing. Vietnam highly values the capacity and experience of the Indian businesses in this field. Therefore, we encourage cooperation between the two side businesses in experience sharing, technology transfer, capacity building, and businesses activities. In fact, businesses of the two countries have started to establish connection with each other, as well as supplement and support each other effectively during the past time, especially amid the disruption of the raw material supply for textile, apparel, and footwear in the region in 2020. As for pharmaceutical and medical field in particular, I think that cooperation in the production of COVID-19 vaccines, of the import and export of medical equipment, supplies, and medicine for COVID-19 treatment are new and effective direction that businesses of the two countries need to promote further. The business communities of the two sides also need to cooperate more closely to diversify the range of import and export commodities, therefore contributing to the recovery and stabilization of regional and global supply chains, and alleviating the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. Regarding investment, Vietnam aims to attracting more foreign investment and strengthening foreign investment cooperation in the right direction of using quality, efficiency, technology, and environmental protection as the main evaluation criteria, prioritizing the first, project in the fields of the high technology, innovation, research, and development. The second, project with the positive spillover effects, cooperation, commitments, creating favorable conditions for Vietnamese enterprises to participate in the value chain. And the third, projects that promote a digital economy and actively contribute to sustainable socio-economic development of Vietnam. Therefore, we encourage Indian investors in the above field to expand and increase investment in Vietnam. Ladies and gentlemen, the government of Vietnam, the Ministry of Industry and Trade of Vietnam always creates favorable conditions for stable, effective investment and business activities of foreign investors in general and investors from India in particular. On the foundation of traditional friendship, political trust, and the effort and determination of the governments and business communities of the two countries, economic and trade cooperation between Vietnam and India will certainly make great strides in the time to come, contributing to the common prosperity of the business communities and people of the two countries. Once again, I would like to thank the organizer for hosting this forum. I wish the forum a great success. Thank you very much.
Our sincere thanks to the Honorable Minister. Now we'll have a message from Vice Minister of Planning and Investment, Mr. Tran Du Dong.
Excellency Mr. Jean Brazil, Banerjee, Director General of the Confederation of Indian Industry, CII. Excellency Mr. Pham Sanh Châu, Vietnamese Ambassador to India, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Ministries of Planning and Investment of Vietnam, I would like to thank the Confederation of India Industries and Vietnamese Embassy to India for co-organizing today's forum, Vietnam and India Cooperation in the New Normal and Post-COVID-19 Pandemic. This is a very important opportunity for both sides to update information and policy to attract foreign investment and to share investment and trade opportunity. Ladies and gentlemen, Vietnam and India have long, traditional and solid relationships. The year 2021 is a very special year for Vietnam and India by marking the 5th anniversary of the Comprehensive Strategic Partnership and moving toward the celebration of the 50th anniversary of diplomatic relations in 2022. This has laid a foundation for Vietnam and India to further deepen the comprehensive strategic partnership in all aspects, such as economics, politics, diplomacy, culture, and education. As for investment, India has more than 300 IT projects in Vietnam with total capital investment of more than $1 billion. Ranking 36 out of 141 countries investing in Vietnam. Indian investment in area of processing and manufacturing sector, accounting for more than 54% of total investment. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks to the number of appropriate policies and measures, COVID-19 pandemic now in Vietnam is under control. We help to boost economic growth. In 2020, Vietnam enjoyed a quick growth rate of 2.91%, and it is projected 2% in 2021. More recently, Vietnam is ranked third biggest ASEAN economy with total GDP of more than $350 billion. In the first 11 months in 2021, there are more than 1,100 new FDI projects in Vietnam, with total investment of more than $26.5 billion, slightly increased compared to previous years. Vietnam sees India as one of the most important investment partners. However, the two-way investment between our countries is still modest, not fully reflect all the potential and advantages. Vietnam and India still have a lot of opportunity investment in area of energy, high-tech, agriculture, innovation, digital transformation, and healthcare. Ladies and gentlemen, Vietnam now is making all efforts to perfect our foreign investment environment, compliant with OECD standards, which are maintain social, political, and macroeconomic stability, resolving bottlenecks in terms of legal institutions, infrastructures, and human resources, developing diverse supply chain and reducing transaction costs, especially logistic and administrative costs, and working toward a business and legal environment of high stability, predictability, transparency, and accountability. Ladies and gentlemen, we are committed to work closely with you to facilitate your tax investment in Vietnam. Thank you for your attention.
Now we will move to our industry leaders, and I would start with Mr. Anuj Kekar, President and Executive Director, Aptech Limited. Yeah. Mr. Anuj, please.
Thank you, Mr. Budhia. His Excellency, Mr. Pham Son Kyo, His Excellency, Mr. Shetty, Dr. Shetty, and His Excellency, Dr. Gautam Mukhopadhyay, His Excellency, and various other dignitaries on the dais and those listening to us. It's a great pleasure for me to be here today. And I'll tell you why it's a pleasure. While many of the previous speakers have elaborated on the extent of the relationship which has developed between India and Vietnam over the years, and as measured in so many $1 million. But I really want to touch upon today a slightly different aspect of our relationship. And to kind of kickstart that, I just want to talk to you a little bit about what Aptech has been doing in Vietnam. Essentially, we are an education provider in the field of IT, in the field of animation, media and entertainment, visual effects, gaming, and other such areas. And we have been in Vietnam for more than 20 years today. It's been a long journey, and it's been a very, very successful journey. And in this success, really, normally it is traditional to thank people at the end of your talk. I want to begin by thanking some people. Firstly, and the offices they represented. The Vietnamese embassy in India has played a key role in encouraging us to be in Vietnam, even in the forthcoming visit of His Excellency, Mr. Vuong Dinh Huê, Chairman of the Vietnamese National Assembly. He's here this week. And we are meeting many potential business leaders who are coming as part of his delegation with the expectation that we will be able to foster this relationship further. Mr. Dr. Shetty, representing the Indian embassy in Vietnam, has played a very, very key role in bringing where Aptech is where it is there today. We enjoy a very good relationship, and it's really our home away from home. Really, my regard, please do convey my regards to Ambassador Verma and all the other colleagues in the Indian embassy there. And of course, there are many other organizations, BCCI, CII, who have played a key role in this journey. And how can I forget His Excellency Gautam Mukhopadhyay, who has helped us in many countries, and along with Her Excellency Mr. Nengcha Mukhopadhyay, it has enabled our understanding and entry into Syria, into Afghanistan, Timor-Leste, and you name it. So it's been a huge team effort, and thank you so much for allowing me to thank you in today's program. I think that's also a hint to many of the people who are listening in today, who are really thinking of getting into Vietnam, of Vietnamese people thinking of getting into India. It is not an individual sport. It is a team sport. Of course, there are a lot of people who are listening in, who are already there, who are already familiar with the processes. I'm not really addressing those people. I'm addressing those people who are on the borderline, who are contemplating, who are saying, should we or shouldn't we take the step? I would strongly, strongly encourage you that if you were to take the step, do it as a team sport. You will require the help of all the people who are there on the dais and the offices that they represent. Do reach out to them. I'm sure by personal experience, I can tell you that they are more than very, very helpful in fulfilling your task and your objectives. And I'm also going to talk a little bit only on the collaboration in the context of services, because that's the only area which I am familiar with, and particularly education. I have been visiting Vietnam very frequently. I must have made at least 20, 25 visits by now over the last 15 years. And when I went there in the early ages, about decade and a half back, the difference between India and Vietnam was very stark in terms of its technology adoption and many other aspects of life which one sees there. But in these last 15 years, Vietnam has today caught up, and how? Mr. Dong of VCCI mentioned this in his address. He mentioned about smart cities and how as India is setting up smart cities, so is Vietnam. If you look at their enunciation of the strategy, the government strategy behind Industry 4.0, I mean, it's a mirror image of what India is doing and many other developed countries are doing. So to perceive Vietnam by the lens of a decade back would be a tremendous mistake. And I'm very, very proud that APTEC in its own small way has played a key role in this capacity building over these years, and really want to thank all my colleagues and all the team members who have participated in this growth. See, success of a collaboration cannot be measured in financial terms alone. It's not that you have a product or a service to offer that has a potential demand in a particular country, and voila, you can think of building a collaboration. I'm afraid it doesn't work as simple as that. There is much to it, and particularly when you think of a country like Vietnam. In my experience, most companies in the field of education and training start off with a product, generally one which has been successful in their home country, and look to see how they can expand this business, their business, by expanding their footprint in more countries or geographies. This has been the traditional route to business growth. I'm afraid this is history now. When you're talking about building a global product, you really have to factor in all the potential audiences you may have for your product or service right at the time of conceptualization itself. Even long before you thought of going into Vietnam, you must be able to relate to the people of Vietnam and to be able to, at some point of time, deliver a service there. In my humble opinion, a market is not a geographical space or a country to which a product or a service has to be exported. And neither can it be measured, the success can be measured only in terms of how many $1 million you have contributed to the trade. Take APTEC, for example. We're not very big, when you come to think of it in terms of the dollar impact. But if you would think of the impact that our students over the years, the hundreds and thousands of students who have passed through APTEC have created in the economy of Vietnam and bringing it to where it is today, I think our contribution has been far in excess of what a certain $1 million of trade investments can we have contributed to those statistics. So I would really encourage everybody who is sitting on the sidelines to consider Vietnam. It's a beautiful place. You have to think of what works best for you and how do you make it sustainable. I think the key is we've been there for not 20, 25 years. Of course, we have had ups and downs. Of course, we have made our mistakes and we have had a share of successes. But sustainability comes only when we can, anybody can integrate totally with the customer. It does not come by sitting aloof. It does not come by having Zoom calls. It does not come by you not getting under the skin of the people of the country. You have to develop relationships. We should not make a pandemic has put forward certain necessities, where we are separated physically and having these kind of meetings. But let's not make a virtue out of this necessity itself. You have to visit the place. You have to understand the people. You have to understand how they think, how the education system works, how they, unless you have had your first sitting on that little small stool in Hanoi, Ho Chi Minh City, and had sumptuous street food, you have not understood Vietnam. Unless you have traveled or hitched a ride at least on a bike in the traffic in Ho Chi Minh City, you have not, on a two-wheeler, you have not understood Vietnam. Unless you have traveled to, not only to Da Nang, which is a great tourist place, but you have to go to places like Can Tho, you have to go to places like Hue, and all the provinces to be able to understand what Vietnamese people are all about. And then only can, I believe, can you make for a sustainable collaboration and build sustainable relationships with the people of Vietnam, who ultimately will you are looking forward to as your customers. Last and not the least, much is said about my colleagues traveling there about food, particularly the first timers. Will I get vegetarian food? Oh, come on. You will be spoiled for choice. But it'll be a major mistake if you were to just go to the nearest Indian restaurant for your idli dosa or whatever else you want to have. Try the Vietnamese food. It's delicious. Unless you do that, you have not built a relationship with the country of Vietnam. Please, if you want to do that, you will find that Vietnam is not only enriching for your business, it will be enriching for you personally as well. Just before I conclude, there's a favorite grouse of mine, which I do not miss an opportunity, especially when I have senior people from the embassies there. Despite so many visits, we still get a 3 months visa, business visa. I know it's all reciprocal. I know it's all political, but believe you me, for people, ordinary businessmen like us who need to travel to Vietnam very frequently, it'll be a huge step forward if you can give us longer term visas so that we can just leave at the drop of a hat. Really thank both the governments of both the countries for starting the Delhi-Hanoi flight. At some point of time, we can now start dreaming of a Mumbai-Ho Chi Minh flight. Thank you, CII, for inviting me and giving me an opportunity to share a few words with the audience. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Anushkar, and sharing the secret behind sustained relationship. And also you really lured us by the Vietnamese food and streets and the two-wheelers, apart from the trade and relationship, the investment opportunities, because you have shared your own success story. Now is my time to invite Mr. Santanu Srivastav, Managing Director and CEO, ISAN International, and Chairman, ISAN Foundation, who would share his experience of doing business in Vietnam for 40 years. And thereafter, it would be my pleasure to request Excellency Dr. Gautam Mukhopadhyay for his insight, please. So now I'll request Mr. Santanu Srivastav.
Your Excellency, Mr. Pham Sanh Chau, Ambassador of Vietnam to India, Your Excellency, Mr. Madan Mohan Sethi, Consul General of India to Ho Chi Minh City, Mr. Sanjay Budhia of CII, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. A lot has already been said and a lot of data information has been shared, and now I will just briefly add my experience of doing business in Vietnam for the last 30 years. Well, my views about Vietnam often get biased because of my love for that country. So I will try my best to be as objective as possible. We were amongst the first few Indian and foreign companies to enter Vietnam over 30 years ago. It was also my privilege to establish the Indian Business Chamber in Vietnam, in Ho Chi Minh City first in 1998, followed by Hanoi in December 1999. Over these years, I have seen the massive transformation of Vietnam from being a war-ravaged country to one of the leading and fastest growing economies in Southeast Asia. Some of the key elements that make Vietnam an attractive place for business and investment include regulations that encourage foreign investment, government's openness to the global economy, Vietnam's strategic location with direct access to some of the world's main shipping routes. The enactment, as we all know, of the renovation policy Doi Moi in 1986 started an era of modernization and competitiveness in Vietnam, and Vietnamese government has, and the business community has very effectively carried that forward since then over the last 35 years. Vietnam must also be complimented for completely transforming its infrastructure. I have seen when I came into Vietnam more than 30 years ago, the electricity, the roads, but now in the last 15 to 20 years, the roads, bridges, seaports, communication today, it can be compared with the best in the world. And this is really a very great achievement for a country which had long years of war. Another very praiseworthy thing is ease of doing business. To attract foreign investment and to encourage entrepreneurial development, the government has made significant changes to the country's regulatory business environment. Even the World Bank scores Vietnam today as one of the most improved countries in terms of ease of doing business. In my own experience over the last 30 years, I've seen that Vietnam has constantly made improvements in terms of procedures, in terms of facilities, infrastructure. And today, I personally also would rate Vietnam as one of the best countries in the region for ease of doing business. One more thing which nobody mentioned about, but I would like to share with all of you from my own experience is the legal system. This is very important, especially not only when we are trading with the country, but especially when we are making investments. Some years ago, for a foreign country, it was not easy. It was not accessible. It was not easy. But I would like to tell you that today, the legal system has transformed in Vietnam. The law is there and justice is available even to foreign companies, and justice is done speedily. So this is a very positive improvement, which adds a lot of value to the foreign investors. At the same time, there are a few things I feel which need improvement. Vietnam's government has strict rules on what types of businesses can be 100% owned. Vietnam has taken some time during this year to come out with their power policy, number 8. And still, I feel that, as we are doing a lot of work in many countries in renewable energy, including Vietnam, we have done 45 projects in small hydro itself in Vietnam. So we feel that there has to be more clarity on the laws and the policies with regard to other renewable energy like wind, especially, and hydro. So this is something where I would like to seek more speedy clarification, and so that we are all ready. We would like to come and invest or also trade in these things and set up projects in renewable energy. So we are waiting for clarity on that point. The banking system is another thing I would like to say that although banking system has gone through reforms, but still the banking system in Vietnam needs further reforms, and the LCs and the BGs, all that system, definitely there are a lot of things which need to be taken care of. As our friend, colleague from Aptec has mentioned about the visa, we have been traveling. I mean, I've been myself traveling in Vietnam for the last more than 30 years. I'm one of the more honored citizens there, with the Friendship Order of Vietnam from the president. But still, even I get a 3-month visa, and my passport pages get filled only with Vietnam visa. So, it'll really help if we could get people like us and Aptec, who have long-term commitments in Vietnam, could be given long-term visas. As far as bilateral trade is concerned, when I met the then Prime Minister of Vietnam in 2014, I had mentioned to him that, Excellency, bilateral trade, according to me, should reach $20 billion by 2022, when we celebrate 50 years of establishment of full diplomatic relations. And at that time, it looked very much possible. And if you see, even 3 years ago, we had touched almost $14 billion. And if we had grown at the rate of about 10% per annum, we would have been close to $20 billion by 2022. Of course, there have been reasons for this, that why we have not been able to reach that target, including the pandemic. But a huge reservoir of opportunities exists between the two countries. Time is short, otherwise I would have elaborated on these. And I again would like to compliment the comments made by our friend from Aptec that, we are all there. We are all there to help the new who would like to come into Vietnam from India, and also the people from Vietnamese business who would like to come to India. We will be very happy to help. I have also 2 pieces of advice finally to give to my colleagues from Vietnam and India. As far as Vietnamese business community is concerned, I feel from my experience that there is a bit of a deficit in comfort level. So the best way to reduce the comfort level deficit is to increase the presence. Like the Indian community, business community has gone in a very big way to Vietnam. I feel that it is important for the business community of Vietnam also to increase their presence in India, open more representative offices, and that would definitely help in easing out this comfort level deficit. And as far as my Indian friends are concerned, business community, I have a very strong advice that, besides knowing the laws and the rules and regulations, it is most important to know how to build relationships in Vietnam. Vietnamese people are very friendly people, and they would love to make friends. We must know who are the right people, who are the decision makers in any organization, and we must know how to build relationships. And if we can build relationships, we can do good business. And again, I would like to say that business is not concluded inside the office in Vietnam. Business is concluded outside the office, over an informal lunch or dinner or cup of coffee or even a glass of beer. So that's the place where one has to move, where one has to interact with the customers, and that's the best way to succeed. I wish India and Vietnam relations Good luck. And I'm always available for any kind of assistance in this regard. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Srivastava. You have rightly said that business needs to move beyond the boardroom. And as Mr. Anuj Kekar said that, Zoom meetings cannot replace, the virtual cannot replace the real. So we all are looking forward to the real opportunity to go and make long-term friendship. And I think the excellencies have also heard both our speakers saying that, long-term relationship also need long-term visage. So maybe, that may also be taken care soon. And now I would request our Ambassador Gautam Mukhopadhyay for his intervention and his suggestions with his long cherished career, and more so particularly in Vietnam.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sanjay Budhia, and to the CII for giving me this opportunity to speak a few words. I know it's been quite an extended session. My compliments to Consul General Dr. Madan Mohan Sethi for his very comprehensive overview of the relationship and its potential, to His Excellency Ambassador Pham San Chao for his very keen insights onto the trade relationship, the investment relationship, as well as the significance of the visit of the Chairman of the National Assembly, which I've taken close note of. And to the various speakers from the VCCI, Ministry of Industry, Ministry of Trade, Dr. Anuj Kakar's very kind words about me and my wife, and I entirely share their very enthusiastic approach towards our relationship with Vietnam, which I regard as in the highest tier of our global relationships. And in particular, together with Mr. Srivastava, the intangibles of the people-to-people relationship that build this. I would just like to make 3 quick points. 1 on the role of the agri-processing sector, 2 on the role of small investments, and 3 on the role of the regional dimension that would contribute to our comprehensive and strategic partnership. I think what all the speakers have said about the potential for the economic relationship in the large business sector, large capital, large investments, large companies, there's no denying that. These are the building blocks of the relationship, and that should be continued. But I'd also like to say that about 70% plus minus of the people of Vietnam, India, Laos, Cambodia, Myanmar live off the land and water and rivers and lakes and forests. And there is tremendous potential in adding value through processing, agri and allied processing of the local products, which have unique local values in each of these areas, to the growth of and the broad basing of our commercial and economic relationship. And I would say that this kind of broad basing of our business relationship is the best form of the people-to-people relationship, or the most substantive form of the relationship that we can think of. Second, a lot of this would and should really come, and I know this is not CII's sort of forte, but from the small and medium, not only enterprises, but also investments. A lot of these investments at the grassroots level don't require very large capital, but they would really play a very fundamental role in building the people-to-people relationship. And third, something that Ambassador Pham San Chao referred to, which is he talked about Vietnamese investments in Laos and Cambodia, and I also know that Vietnam has high investments in Myanmar. I would like to invite Vietnam to look into the opportunity of building what we can call a chain link of small investments in the agri sector, agri and allied sector, all the way from Vietnam up to the northeast and eastern India, which share many common ethnic, cultural, as well as economic characteristics. This would be actually really something that would contribute to our comprehensive and strategic partnership, and would contribute to, I think, what somebody else talked about, the regional value chains. There is great complementarity in the what I could broadly call the agri-forestry sector from between India and all of Southeast Asia, including other countries that I may have left out. And I have personally traveled by surface route, not air, all the way from Guwahati to Haiphong and eventually up to Da Nang. The last stretch on Ho Chi Minh I did by air. And physically, it is possible to connect India and Vietnam by land and by rivers through the great Mekong river system and connect effectively the Brahmaputra with the Mekong river system. So I'd like to just leave these three ideas and would be very happy to take advantage of any of the direct flights that our two embassies have contributed to making, and of course Vietjet and Indigo, to be able to sort of advance this idea in any way with the cooperation of our Vietnamese colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ambassador. And before I request Mr. Indranil Sengupta, I would like to give my own sincere thanks to all the participants, all the excellencies and distinguished speakers for their wonderful overview. And that is why, as Ambassador Gautam rightly said, it has been an extended session that only shows the potential and the interest and the possibilities what these two countries offer. So without much ado, I would now request Indranil Sengupta, co-founder and CEO, Investify Company Limited, for his concluding remarks.
Thank you, Mr. Sanjay Budhia. Your Excellency, Ambassador Gautam Mukhopadhyay, Pham San Chao, our Consul General Dr. Sethi, Excellency Vice Minister Mr. Ai and Mr. Dong, my dear friends and Kuang from VCCI and Shantanu. Wishing all of you a very good morning, those who are in India, and a good afternoon to those who are in Vietnam. It actually amazes me to see how the world has changed with technology, and more so post-COVID. I personally know everyone in this panel, but have not met physically most of you for last few years. Just to give you an example, last time when I met Mr. Sanjay Budhia, it was physically in 2008 in Kolkata. And that time even WhatsApp was not there, but then, world changed, and so have we. And it really impresses how we have adapted so quickly to such changes and accepted it as a new normal. Today's session, we indeed had some key and significant insights. When I was noting down the several points as expressed by all the speakers today, I see both bad news and good news. The bad news is that we are still talking about a long list of potential sectors, which means that we have not done enough to unleash that potential. However, the good news is that we have already identified the potential sectors through information analysis and other experiences, and we only need to work towards it to make them successful. Let me give you a point of view from my being in Vietnam for so many years. Vietnam is in a privileged position in ASEAN for being the country with maximum number of FTAs signed after Singapore. However, Singapore has limitation in manufacturing sector. This creates immense potential for Vietnam in terms of manufacturing and services sector. Indian MSMEs should take this opportunity to set up manufacturing facilities in Vietnam, cater to the world at large, utilizing the least cost of delivery because of these FTAs. Besides the FTAs, Vietnam has also created a very successful story, setting up industrial parks and industrial zones. Such parks and zones are all over Vietnam, where it becomes very convenient for the MSME investor to just do a plug and play. Vice Minister Dong, who spoke earlier, did play a significant role in creating the structure in his prior capacity. Many of these industrial parks and industrial zones have preferential fiscal benefits from the government of Vietnam. And some of the interesting MSME sectors, which has already been mentioned during the course of the discussion today, should seriously look into investments into Vietnam are textile, leather, and food processing. Coming to IT, India is also a world leader in ICT, hosting one of the largest talent pools of technical graduates and offering a world-recognized hub of outsourcing and IT delivery. Use of the digital content and services have spiked in Vietnam and globally, prompting attention towards cloud computing, IoT, application-based services. Vietnam has rapidly grown and growing in its internet and mobile penetration, and it's really taking very confident steps into the digital era. The young Vietnamese professionals are pretty good in software development. So, and there I see a very well-poised potential partnership between India and Vietnam to capture the growing markets for software and online services in both the countries. Like, Ambassador Sanchau gave the example of FPT doing their first acquisition in India in Hyderabad. The other area which has been talked about, but I think there is much broader landscape in this, which is education. There we can have a promising partnership with Vietnam. The country is witnessing, Southeast Asia's fastest middle class expansion, with demographics to reach like around 30+ million in 2020. Where 60% of the Vietnamese population is under the age of 35. So, this has accelerated mobility in terms of consumption, and the strong youthful demographic has resulted in sustained interest. Given the keenness to learn and become a regional education leader. So there I see Indian education companies or Indian education institutes have not really penetrated this market, and I'm sure India can provide a really great quality education compared to any other countries, and at a much competitive pricing, which will be easier for the pockets of the Vietnamese people, the common Vietnamese people who may not be able to afford a very expensive foreign education. Coming to tourism, India is prime destination for tourism, and especially the Buddhist circuits, and attracted quite a lot of Vietnamese tourists in the last few years. But beyond the Buddhist circuit, India can offer unparalleled medical tourism, wellness tourism, leveraging India's reputation for yoga, spiritualism, and Ayurveda. Similarly, Vietnam has some of the most pristine and scenic beaches in this part of the world. The yellow and white sand beaches of Nha Trang, Da Nang, Phu Quoc are major tourist destinations. So the travel companies, both from Vietnam and India, should collaborate much stronger to promote the sector in a reciprocal way. The other point, while on tourism, I don't want to miss is, while all the other international hotel chains are present in Vietnam, but none of the Indian chains are present in Vietnam. And there are a few prominent Vietnamese real estate developers who have developed some of the world-class properties. So in this area, the Indian hotel chains need to work with the local developers to participate in the future hotel projects in Vietnam. And that creates the brand India. If you have a Taj or Oberoi or ITC in Vietnam, that creates the brand India. It's really a people feel factor. There's something which has been touched earlier also. India has a great story in its journey of energy sector and its recent transformation to green energy in the last decade. Similar to India, Vietnam is also an energy-hungry country because of its fast development, and the requirement of energy grows around 8% year on year for the last maybe 15 years. Vietnam has taken strong steps towards greening its energy basket. India has its own technology, equipment, engineering skills in the sector. So it makes immense sense for Indian companies to make serious, footsteps into Vietnam. It's a little unfortunate that very few Indian companies have actually made inroads into Vietnam, where you see all the Europeans and the Americans and the Korean energy, both giants and OEMs. Both investors and OEMs are very much present in Vietnam. So this is one area where Indian companies need to focus. However, there's a role of the government of India to be played here. Government of India needs to simplify the EXIM loans with respect to the policy and the process, and make it comparable with the other countries' EXIM policies in order to facilitate this boost of, Indian interest in the energy sector. And the same story goes for the infrastructure sector. Ports, roads, and airport, which had already been touched about. And here also, the EXIM loans has to be simplified to make it more attractive for both for the recipient as well as investors to utilize them. The other sector which has been spoken about is the pharmacy. There's an immense scope for the Indian companies either to invest or increase trade. Excuse me. The quality of Indian pharmaceutical products in its present status can match any other developed countries. However, here there is a little bit of role where the government of Vietnam needs to play, especially in the generic medicine category, to make it a level playing field for the Indian companies vis-a-vis the G7 countries. That's something which we look forward that some procurement laws have to be tweaked or changed to make it a level playing field for the Indian pharmaceutical companies in this space. I've settled down in Vietnam, so most of my friends here in Vietnam considers me as a Vietnamese who also stayed in India for a long time. As Ambassador San Chau would call me Conze Vietnam, which in English means son-in-law of Vietnam. So with the above, I would like to close my deliberation, and we hope with all the points as suggested in today's session, participants from both countries will take it forward to enhance the relationship to the next level. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you all. Thank you.